All right, we're back again. Back to annoy the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all gonna have to,
Aaron,
buddy. Y'all gonna have to bear with me. I'm struggling today, but I'm here.
he's got a sore neck carrying around that big head all day.
No,
He accidentally took a sharp turn in the car and he got a little case of whiplash.
Ricocheted my head off the window.
You do what? He said what now?
And said, ricocheted my head off.
Oh, ricochet your head, yeah.
Stop licking the window.
All right, so I wrote down a few stories. I'm gonna go ahead and just go through them and
let's just start hitting them.
yeah. All right, I've got a pretty cool story, and this one goes back to 2023. It has to do with Pompeii and some evidence in Pompeii that they say proves that our timeline just might not be accurate like we thought. Okay, so in 2023, it says archaeologists found a fresco. You know what a fresco is?
Yeah, fresco.
Fresco.
The drink.
F-R-E. Oh, golly. We're going to start out like this already. Okay, a fresco is a painting on the wall. It can be on a canvas. It can be on just like a rock wall, just however. But
mural?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's a different style of mural, but yeah, for the most part. It says they found a fresco showing a flatbread and some fruits on almost like a platter.
Yeah.
And on this platter, it showed different fruits. One of those fruits being a pineapple, and it said the pineapple was not at the time. The pineapple was
not
native.
invented yet. No.
Yeah, not invented. No, it was native to the Americas.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it was a North American, South American,
Yeah.
Hawaiian kind of deal. But it said it shows a flatbread and some fruits, one of them being a pineapple that was native to the Americans and was not known in Europe until the 1500s. Yeah. Also on this platter, they said there's some garnishments, and they said one of those garnishments they think looked kind of like a pesto. The pesto was not created until much later on, until the 1600s. Yeah. Pesto is not. It's not a spice. It is a mixture of spices, almost like salsa.
Add some more pesto.
Guacamole. Yeah, it's an Italian thing.
Guacamole.
But it showed a flatbread, possibly pesto, and some pineapples. It said those weren't native to that area because.
Well, let's backtrack. How supposedly was this?
Okay, Pompeii was destroyed by a volcano.
Yeah, they're still finding.
They say roughly 71 A.D. 71 A.D. So this is just barely after Jesus came, did his thing, and left. So they said that should not have happened at that time, that the pineapple wasn't introduced to that area until 1,500 years later. So that's almost 1,600, which would actually line up with the pesto as well.
Maybe we just didn't know because the pineapple trees were destroyed in the volcano.
You never know. It's possible. Well, they got records and stuff. They were pretty good at keeping records back then. But that archaeologists, and here's the part I always get a kick out of, because if you go against mainstream archaeology, they always have excuses. They always pitch a fit.
Even though the science changes every 20 years.
Right. And anytime one of them finds evidence contrary, another bigger fish in that area steps up and shuts them down somehow. I've seen multiple cases of that.
That's what's crazy about the whole scientific community is it's almost kind of like you're saying, okay, this is what we believe, until somebody comes along in 20 years and proves us wrong.
And
but now, this is what we're going to believe.
Say, during that time of them, proving them wrong, trying to prove them wrong, they're going to shut them down if possible to where it never sees the light of day.
How many people are called hacks because they have a theory that goes against what's considered the accepted theory.
Exactly. Well,
you're a hack.
Archaeologists claim that it could either be these two, because there's like two pineapples. There's one on this end and one on this end. They claim that it could be pomegranates. Yeah, because pineapple.
Yeah, it looks just like a pomegranate.
Big, pomegranate, small and red. It could be dates.
Well, I'm sure they're not
dates
colored.
Are small.
Was this thing colored?
Yeah, it was colored. It was actually colored. Nice color too. Given the time period it was from, They didn't do too bad of a job on it.
Maybe Picasso brought the pineapples over there when he went and painted that. No, Picasso.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was talking about.
That's what I say, man. Picasso was like the 1800s.
I know.
But yeah, I thought that was cool because they're finding evidence in Pompeii that shows contrary to the timeline that we think that we live. Because according to that time, the pineapple couldn't exist. I'm gonna go very loosely on the pesto because that could have just been that could have just literally been anything. But the pineapple, that should not have came along for another 1,500 years.
Yeah, but if you think about it though, I mean, that could go along with how many times has technology been erased and reset?
A lot.
All that stuff. I mean, think about what's that big machine thing they found that it's like we call it a machine. But it's some kind. What was it? It was it had like gears and all this stuff, and they still to this day can't really figure out how it works.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's.
But they said for the timeline that it's dated to, there nothing like that should have existed.
Right. Well, they said there's been multiple resets.
I want to do an episode over Atlantis eventually.
Well, we need to find a location before we go doing that because you could talk about it all day long, but if you don't have,
well, I'm not going to find the location.
Yeah, I know.
For one thing, I ain't going out on the ocean in a boat, and then I definitely ain't going under the water.
Hey, you want a pretty good little conspiracy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's not an episode without some
Some
conspiracy. And I've got to eventually make my little conspiracy hat.
Yeah, everybody loves good conspiracy
Okay.
as long as it don't involve different shapes of things. That go ahead.
Different shapes of things.
Yeah, like things that are flat that are really round.
No, just for the fun of it, we're gonna touch on that one.
That's not gonna last long. I'm gonna sit here the whole time going.
I love how people react on that one.
That's because that's the only one that is the most asinine conspiracy theory.
It's like I said. I'm neither one or the other. I'm not round Earth. I'm not flat Earth. But you haven't listened to both sides. If you listen to both sides, if you let's say you're on the fence and you listen to a round Earth person talk, you're like, dude, makes a lot of sense.
Until I can get on a rocket. Until I can get on a rocket and see the Earth from a side view.
But
it's round.
But if you're on the fence and you listen to somebody from Flat Earth, they've got a bunch of really good.
But isn't it funny that if the Earth is flat, and we'll leave it at this because this is a whole nother. But isn't it weird? Like if you're flying around the Earth in a ship, that flat part just keeps turning with you, to where it always looks round. You know, like they sent satellites all the way around the Earth, right?
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Because I've seen pictures of satellites up there. A lot of those satellites.
It's always round.
A lot of those it's not always round. It depends on what lens you use. I've seen pictures with a fisheye lens to where it has curvature, and I've seen pictures of without just regular basic lens, and it looks flat, stationary.
From anywhere you're looking down on it, it's going to look flat.
That way.
I will call that the broke eye lens.
The broke eye lens. Okay, so
go ahead.
It's a pretty cool conspiracy theory because I never thought about it until recently. They claim, and it's a actual pretty popular movement, but it claims Timothy McVeigh never died. He was never executed, but that he actually is part of the federal government right now. And it sounds crazy.
Well, no, because there's people still to this day that don't believe that Epstein's dead.
But he's not dead.
Well, okay, we don't know that, but I'm not going to say for sure he's alive.
But my point being, it says Timothy McVeigh looks just like a special agent, Paul Weissopal, Wysopal, because he's a federal law enforcement agent. Apparently, they have done, and I've seen the pictures side by side. I'll post a picture. I'm gonna put a picture right directly in this short that we make.
Kind of like but they have the Elvis one.
Yeah. Did I do that with the Elvis one?
Yeah, you did one that had Elvis and you had the preacher next to it.
Oh, okay.
The thumbnail.
But no, I'm not talking about thumbnail. I'll insert this in the video. But they have done facial recognition scans on Timothy McVeigh and this Paul dude, comparing nose structure, comparing ear structure, comparing eyes and all that. Dude looks just like Timothy McVeigh.
That's tricky though. Because
Okay, you
That's
remember
kinda
Timothy McVeigh, how he had that funny looking mouth and like a super
he's like a
specific
very
shape?
goofy looking dude.
This dude has that
Okay,
same
but
exact look.
there's two different directions you can go with that, because you can say this dude looks exactly like Timothy Bay, so he's got to be Timothy McVeigh, and we've done facial recognition that proves he's got to be Timothy McVeigh. But then at the same time, you could say, oh, they replaced Biden because his facial recognition isn't the exact same
Buddy,
as it was 5-10 years ago.
nobody knows anything about Biden anymore because you've had so many Bidens that are so many feet tall. Even Joe Rogan's talked about that one Biden that was like 6 foot. I want to say this, like 6'4".
Are we talking about it's supposed to be the same Biden?
Yeah. At the time, they said that like
well, you shrink when you get older.
He was no. This Biden grew a foot, dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he got.
Yeah, there have been so many different versions.
Growth hormones.
There have been so many different
pretty
versions of
good
Joe
stuff.
Biden that nobody knows anymore if that's the real one they're looking
Yeah,
at.
and like I say, that's weird because supposedly Michael Jackson living in them tunnels under the Didi house.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm so afraid of jokes about that crap all the time, man.
So much though has gone on with that whole Oklahoma City bombing thing. Like to this day, they say that all the wreckage from the Oklahoma City bombing is in a landfill that's guarded 24/7 by armed guards. They will not let you go out there. They will not let you inspect any of it because of what they think people might find. That day, the day of the Oklahoma City bombing, they said
I still remember that day.
Yeah, they said that it just so happened that the federal government loaded up all of the agents in the entire building and says, hey, let's take a field trip of the city that we live in and work in. They basically make it a point to get the federal agents out to where there was no government loss during that. There was so much going on with that, dude. I don't trust any of it.
Well, I mean, there's going to be conspiracy theories with everything because when you got the 9/11 conspiracy theories, you got the Timothy McVeigh ones, you got the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories. I mean, them are the brand new ones. That there's no way the kid that they arrested could have been the one that shot him because, this, that.
Oh, he didn't.
And there's people that honest to God believe, and I'm on the fence on some things, but there's some people that think that Charlie's wife might have been involved.
You never know, dude.
Well,
you never know.
I
mean, what was it? A week after his death, she was up on stage with sparks flying and music playing like a WWE star.
But you kind of
I'm not saying
that could fall under that celebrating the life.
I'm not saying
that ain't even the stuff
I'm not saying that she had something to do with it, but something ain't right with her.
Well, no, something ain't right with her definitely. Now I ain't saying she had anything to do with her husband dying. I think she's kind of a weird woman, but I think she's just an odd duck. But that's a far cry from saying she had him killed. But I'm also saying that in the day and age we live in and the stuff that's going on in the world, would it blow my mind if I found out she did?
Well, how many hundreds of millions of dollars did he turn down from Israel right before he was killed?
I don't care what anybody says about Charlie Kirk. He had integrity. He had
right.
He had
Did you
morals.
know directly after his death that what was that organization he was part of?
Oh, it's his organization. It's dang it.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't have asked me, I could have told you.
Either way.
It was on the tip of my tongue a while ago. I almost said that some people believe that she killed him so she could take over.
Well, did you know his organization accepted 100% of that money right after he died?
Well, probably. Oh, yeah. I don't want to throw off what you're doing right now. So keep going.
Okay. Well,
you lost the Pompeii stuff. How did we get off that on something else real quick?
Well, there's only so much. There's only so much you could talk about the Pompeii thing. Yeah. It was over. It was over. I mean, it was just two pieces of evidence, and the pesto thing, like I said, that we'll pretend that's not the case.
It's already gone.
Sorry, yeah, I know. Hey, but you know what though? You mentioned 9/11. You mentioned 9/11 during the whole Oklahoma City talk just now. I got one for you. Did you know there was a band named I Am the World Trade Center that put out an album 2 months before the whole 9/11 attack? Track 11 was named September.
Oh yeah.
Kind of weird, ain't it? Which
them hints.
they ain't never been. They've never been even mentioned. So I don't know if I'd call that a coincidence.
You know what's really weird? Yeah,
or what.
I know what you're saying. But you know what's really weird?
It's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. But I can remember where I was on almost every all the most tragic things that happened while I've been alive. Like, I can tell you where I was with 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
We were listening to that in a donut shop on the radio while we were working. And I remember when the first one hit.
You were still working at the donut shop,
Yeah.
you loser.
But I think you were still working there at that time too.
Not 9/11. No, I was doing my thing at Walmart at the time.
No, you came there afterwards.
Yeah.
Loser.
I came there in 2004 and was stuck there until almost 2022.
Yeah, you worked there way longer than me,
Yeah,
loser.
I did.
But anyway, what I was saying though was we were in there listening to it on the radio, and I remember when the first plane hit, I was like, I remember it vividly. I looked at, I can't even remember who I was. I think it was a girl we called Tater Tot. But I remember looking at her going, boy, that pilot was drunk. And then not even a couple minutes later, the second one hit, and I looked at her and I said, something going on. That ain't right. But then I can remember exactly where I was. I was 6th grade in a classroom in Fort Deposit. It might not have been Fort Deposit. We lived in Fort Deposit, Alabama.
We never lived in Fort Deposit. We lived in Greenville.
No, we lived in Fort Deposit for a while because we lived by a bar. Mama worked at a convenience store at nighttime. That was Fort Deposit. And we lived next door. There was a bar right next to our house, and they drunks used to come fight in the front yard in the middle of the night.
I remember that.
Yeah, they'd come fight in our yard in the middle of the night while Mama was at work. And that was when she first started bringing the comic books home.
Yeah, I remember
But
that.
anyway, I was in a class in the 6th grade watching the space shuttle explode.
Mm.
6th grade, because I remember after we seen it, we don't know what's going on. We're in 6th grade. We're like, well, that thing just blew up. What the heck was that? And then I remember all the teachers were right outside the door in the hallway, and they're all crying and hugging each other. And then they come back in the classroom like nothing happened. And just like, okay, get your books out. And we're like, but I cannot.
Clean the table.
Oh, I cannot. But for the life of me, I remember it, but I cannot, for the life of me, place where I was at the Merle bombing, the Oklahoma City bombing.
I was in Louisiana, so wherever you were, I was 15
I was
at
here.
the time.
I was in Ada,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know where. I don't even remember what year was that.
I was 15, so that was what, 94? Yeah, 94.
Okay, so I was 20.
It was 94. I told you were 20.
So I was probably living with
By the college?
Yeah, by the college with Chris and all them.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can't remember where I was when I heard about it. All I remember, it was horrible. Even at 20, I was like, good Lord, because, there was a whole daycare in there that got blown up. That was one of the worst.
Oh, daycare that got blown up by people that we're supposed
Yeah,
to
and
trust.
everybody talks about, and I know, I don't know, man. How many people died in 9/11?
9/11?
Yeah.
A couple thousand?
How many people died in the Oklahoma City bombing?
200 or 300.
Okay. Because I was wondering which one was more.
Nah.
Because I know that was the first, what they would call a terrorist attack in
Right.
America. Except that it was orchestrated by an American.
Yeah, they claim that Oklahoma City was the largest domestic terror attack.
Yeah.
That 9/11 was the largest foreign terror attack.
Yeah.
And both of them. And neither one of them was orchestrated or carried out by the people they claim.
It's like I tell everybody, present me your evidence, because none of us know for sure.
I watched a documentary with people who...
Fahrenheit 9/11?
No, freaking... What's that dude's name?
That fat ass Michael Moore.
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Michael Moore.
That chubby Michael Moore?
Yeah. But no. This one was where they interviewed firefighters, ambulance people,
shapely challenged Michael Moore.
Regular, everyday citizens and stuff. And there was they said there were explosions that went off before the planes hit.
Well, they claim that the way the Oklahoma City bombing, not Oklahoma City, the 9/11, that there had to be charges at the bottom of the buildings for them to fall.
And that's where they say the explosions happened before the blast. They blew up under it, and then they hit it, and then they brought it down demolition style. Because if you watch the video in slow motion as it's going down, you see multiple floors below it, explosions with fire coming out of a lot of your windows. They brought that down on itself.
One of the most tragic, but twistedly moving things you could ever watch videos is them videos where that the people on the top floors, like men and women,
you
would
mean
hold
like,
hands.
yeah,
And jump out of the bed.
and
And you
stuff.
see
Yeah,
them falling, holding each other's hand
Yeah.
all the way down. I mean, it's moving, but it's tragic.
well, yeah, dude.
But it was kind of like, hey, do you want to go quick, or do you want to burn alive, or do or do you want to fall and slowly be crushed as you're falling?
It's
I mean,
crazy.
it's all going to be over when we hit the bottom.
I
But
say it's crazy stuff.
yeah, you need to watch the Shane Gillis thing about that, where he's talking about Australian accents. He said, I don't care what an Australian says, it's funny. He said, could you imagine an Australian in 9/11 in one of them buildings? He's like, it's coming. What is that plane doing? It's coming right at us, mate. And he goes, oh, it's getting hot in here. Gonna have to jump. And he did the perfect like.
I want to say I've seen that. All right. Oh, hey, here's a pretty cool one. And actually, this is more of a theory. This ain't conspiracy. They say, I got this from a dude here recently. I gotta remember the guy's name because he has a bunch of pretty cool things he talks
up the
about.
table.
It says, what is it?
Bump
You could bump it. Got my hands on it, but I ain't bumping it. Says there's a theory that when you go to the doctor and you get diagnosed with something, and they basically deliver a prognosis. They're like, this is what's wrong with you. There's a theory that your subconscious mind, that your body, and that your conscious mind all work together to make that happen. I guess it's a psychological thing, and it makes sense because it has to do with was it placebo, stuff like that. That if you go to the doctor and let's say they say that you have 6 months to live, that if you accept that, you're like, okay, I got 6 months to live. They said your body, your subconscious, your body, and your conscious mind will all work together and pretty much fast track that. Your body will actively your body will actively start
almost like dying of a broken heart.
Right, almost start killing itself because it's accepted its fate.
Yeah. But that's why I don't go to doctors, man. People are like, hey, man, you gotta, because I've got a weird cough that I've had for a couple of years now that won't go away. Sometimes I'll just be sitting there, everything's normal, and I'll just go into this coughing fit to where there's times when like I honestly feel like I'm about to pass out, and
You're afraid the doctor's going to tell you something you don't want to hear?
No, I just ain't going because it's kind of like that Thriving Ivory song. Don't tell me if I'm dying because I don't want to know.
That sounds familiar.
The song's called Angels on the Moon. Oh. If you never heard that song, that's an
Thriving
awesome
Ivory
song.
sounds emo, so I don't really...
Well, they only had that one hit. They were supposed to be like the next big Matchbox 20, 3 Doors Down type band. And, but it's, they were rock. But they had good songs, but they only had that one hit. I don't know what happened to them. And then they just kind of faded away. But
kind of like Velvet Revolver. They were here. Everybody's like, oh man, this is pretty cool. And then
Velvet Revolver was kind of hot for a little while. They had a couple of albums.
Yeah, but they only really had one popular song, though.
Well, that's because Scott Weiland was... He kept changing it. I mean, I give it to... But, people say if you can reinvent yourself, that is what leads to longevity. Mm-hmm. Being able to reinvent yourself. You
mean like Faith No More? That kind of killed him.
No,
or killed
his side projects is what killed Faith No More. Faith No More, a lot of people they think of the song Epic. Don't get me started on that's one of my all-time favorite bands to this day. But everybody says the Epic. That was the first. I don't care. They do not get credit for it, but Epic was the first new wave metal It was the first rap heavy metal song ever made.
I don't know if I'd call it rap.
Dude, that was around 90. So that was before any of these Limp Bizkits, Korns, any of those bands. That was before Rage Against the Machine, Linkin Park, any of those bands. He did that. He was the first, that Epic was the first new metal song. And nobody gives them credit for that. But I've actually seen videos where there are some rock bands that will say, even new metal bands that will say, look, this, Mike Patton's the one that started this style. And then we said, ooh, that's cool. We can do that because I can't sing very well, but I can rap. I can't hold a note, but I can sound good rapping. and that's what caused it. But their next album, Angel Dust, that was their best album. That was the one that had Midlife Crisis and Small Victory and all them on it. But what killed Faith No More is Mike Patton's just such a freaking weirdo, and he had like 8 bands. The only reason he
had Faith No More, he had Mr. Bungle.
Well, the only reason he joined Faith No More was to try to promote Mr. Bungle. That was the only reason he joined Faith No More. So he said, okay, this band's already kind of established, because they'd had the album before with We Care a Lot, and the Ann song with the other singer.
Who was the female that sung for Faith No More for a while? Was it
Courtney
Courtney
Love?
Love?
Yeah, she was the first one, and they fired her because they just said she was such a diva. They said even before anybody knew who she was, before she was with Kurt Cobain, she was
Kurt Cobain?
Yeah, Kurt Cobain, that she was a biatch and she was a diva and a control freak, and nobody could stand her, even before she ever met him. And so they fired him. They got Paul. I think his name was Paul Mosley.
You talk about the Native American look.
And then he
had that Anthony Kiedis look to him.
He was awesome too. It was kind of
goofy,
kind of cheesy.
Kind of cheesy, yeah.
Yeah, and then he had the Ann song. They had the 2 videos. And then they fired him, and the only reason they fired him is because he just was trying to push the band in a direction that they didn't want to go in. But no, with Scott Weiland, STP, that was some of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life. And we even met him one time at a concert, and he was a grade A D-Ock. But dude, he was a genius when it comes to them. First 2 albums are legendary. The first 2 Stone Temple Pilots. But then with the 3rd album, that's when he got into that whole tripping on a hole in a paper heart, and the darn music just got kind of weird, like Sour Girl and all that kind of crap. And then
Zombie. Oh, y'all, you're talking about Scott Weiland now.
Yeah.
I thought you was talking about Mike Patton still. I say Zombie Eaters was a good song.
No, the real thing was the first album with Mike Patton. That was the one that had Epic, My Life Is Falling to Pieces. It had Zombie Eaters. It had Underwater Love. Man, there were so many great songs on that album. But then, like I said, Angel Dust, that was that to me, they took it. It's like they went from this experimental, fun, almost chili pepper-esque, kind of not serious sound. To then when they went into the next album with Angel Dust, that was when it got industrial, serious, like. And that's when the masterpieces started pouring out. And then even King for a Day, Four for a Lifetime, that had Evidence and all that stuff on it. That was a great album. But like I said, Mike Patton couldn't keep his crap together. That whole band got weird.
I got a quick question for you.
What?
How did we get on music?
I don't know. You brought it up. You brought it up with that. Something about Scott Weiland's Velvet Revolver. Oh no, we were talking about Thriving Ivory, and it went into Velvet Revolver, and then it turned into something else.
We were talking about...
Yeah, get us back on topic.
We were talking about not listening to the doctor, and now we're just talking about freaking...
Yeah, I don't do that, though. I don't go to... Because, it's a known fact that doctors... it's not even...
They get paid to treat symptoms. And a lot of them create symptoms.
That's not even conspiracy theory anymore.
Dude, there was a doctor not too long ago.
They get kickbacks.
Right. There was a doctor in the past... I want to say it was in the past year, 2 years if I'm completely wrong about it, he is doing serious prison time now because he diagnosed, I forget how many, there's hundreds of patients with cancer who didn't have cancer.
And the chemo probably killed a lot of them.
I don't know how many it killed, but there is a statistic on how many people that the chemo itself kills and not the cancer. Well, it's not even worth it. Like, if the cancer don't kill you, the chemo will kill you. Man,
I won't even take chemo. I would never take chemo if I had cancer. Here's the thing. And I'm not saying nothing against anybody that's taking chemo, but, because it can, and there are cases where it works.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If they tell you, listen, you got 5 years to live, but if you do chemo, we may can cure it and get rid of it. But here's the kicker. If the chemo does not kill the cancer, it will cut your lifespan in half of what you would have had if you wouldn't have took the chemo.
Yeah.
Like, you'll die in 2 to 3 years with the chemo if it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah,
now, if it works, it works. That's awesome. That's cured. St. Jude's has had some success with, with kids and stuff, but I think it's a little different because, there's people that were killed with chemo because they screwed up. Like there was a woman, well, and our old bosses, he had a sister that had breast cancer, and I'm not gonna name no names.
I was about to say, you'll have to tell me after the show.
And the hospital in our local town over radiated her to the point where they cooked her.
Are we talking about?
Don't name names.
Not people. We talk about Valley View.
Yeah, well,
That's
I don't
now,
want to say that.
Now it's Mercy.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, but that's
You
not
don't
the
want to
same
name
doctors
names.
or
You don't want to name
anymore.
names. I can 100% understand that.
Yeah,
not
it
nobody
be
wants to.
now than it was back then. But
Well, okay, yeah, this was.
They pretty much killed her because they overcooked her.
Right. You can do this.
It's like leaving your food in the microwave too long.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The chemo kills you because it basically cooks your internal organs to the point to where you start dying of
I
organ
knew a
failure.
guy. Well, I didn't know him. I knew his son. That his son was said that they told his dad, said, you got maybe 2, 3, 5 top years to live, but if we do chemo, we might cure you. And he told him no. He said, I'm not doing it. He said his daddy lived 21 more years after that for not taking
And now
chemo.
they're discovering.
I'm not telling anybody don't take chemo. I'm not one of them people that preach against modern medicine. I'm just saying there's a lot of money in modern medicine.
Right.
And there's no money in curing people.
And now
There's money's in treating people.
Now they're also saying that they think upwards towards of like 90% plus cases of cancer are just parasitic infections, where they see these masses on MRIs and stuff. They're like, that's cancer, but it's not cancer. It is clusters of parasites and stuff.
Well, I look at how many doctors that were when you go to law school and medical school, and this is stuff I've watched numerous videos over actual doctors and lawyers, or retired doctors and lawyers mainly, because they can do it now because they're retired. That pretty much said when you go to law school and medical school, you're pretty much told the rules.
Yes.
And you have to, and if you don't follow the rules, they will ruin you. They'll figure out a way to take your license. Look at Jordan Peterson. He wouldn't follow the rules, and they took his license.
You know who that goes back to?
Who?
John D. Rockefeller.
Okay.
The guy that if I ever get my hands on some time travel, I'm going to knock on his door.
Killing baby Hitler. I'm going after Rockefeller.
Well, think about it, dude. Everything ties to the past. You take out somebody like Rockefeller, there might not be a Hitler.
If I get a time machine, I'm gonna save Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe?
I'm gonna go back, get her, bring her back here.
I don't know why, but I mean...
Well, because she was done dirty.
She
slept with the wrong man.
There you go. She was done dirty because she played dirty.
Well, the only justice, and I'm not saying it's a great thing that anybody gets killed, but she wasn't the only one that paid for that affair.
No, she wasn't. There were several people who paid for that affair.
And they kept her diary for years and years and years after that, and they finally released it here. I think it was like 5 or 10 years ago. They finally released her diary because her diary come up missing whenever she died, and her housekeeper was the one that told them, said, "Look, she kept a diary on her nightstand next to her bed that she wrote in every night." She said that diary is gone, but the government denied. The government gave it back 5, 10 years ago, and they said it looked like somebody had taken a razor blade and cut. There were whole big old thick swaths of paper that had been razor cut, where they were trying to hide that they were cutting the pages. Like they didn't want to just rip them out, so they took a razor blade thinking that would hide it. But what you don't realize is if you take a thick book like that,
and you close it and press it together,
you cut out 20 pages, and you close it and turn it sideways and look down the bottom of it, you can see the gaps.
Dude, 100%.
And they said there were gaps all through that freaking diary.
Sure there was. All right. So I got some 2026 life hacks.
26 life. What are we doing?
2026.
Oh, 2026.
2026. 5 rules to live by in 2026. And you will find out how surprisingly accurate these rules are. Okay, it says... having a hard time reading my...
One of them is always do the crocodile Dundee check before you bring a woman home from the bar.
Okay.
You know they're
Yeah,
trying to make that a crime.
I had what?
Not disclosing your actual gender.
It needs to be a crime.
If you take somebody home and they end up not being who they claim they are,
it needs to be a crime.
It can be sexual assault.
It needs to be a crime.
Well, just like I always
like
said,
there are
you
people
falsely accuse a man of rape and he goes to prison for 5 years, and then he's proven innocent, that you lied, your ass, your butt should have to go serve 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. It says, if Bill Gates is involved, avoid it.
Oh, well, yeah, we knew that.
Yeah. If the government says it's true, it's false. If the CDC and the FDA says it's safe, it's dangerous. If Congress makes a law, and I like this one, if Congress makes a law to help you, it will eventually hurt you. Every single time. And if the media agrees that it's true, it's a lie.
Well, yeah, these are common sense.
No, they're not. They're common sense for people who pay
even
attention.
Even people that are lying about that stuff know it's
they're common sense to people who pay attention, but a lot of the society, you would be surprised how many people believe everything they're told.
Yeah, kind of like Zuckerberg learned his lesson. Don't ever ask Elon Musk to take your spy satellite up into space and drop it off for you.
What do you mean?
You never heard that story?
No.
Mark Zuckerberg had this satellite. This is a true story. You can research it. Mark Zuckerberg had a satellite, and he wanted to get it into space, and it was some kind of almost like to spy on Facebook. It was some kind of satellite that had something to do with collecting information and data from Facebook users. And Elon was testing one of his rockets, and he asked Elon, he said, "Hey, because Elon he shot a car, he shot a Tesla into space one time. That man does stuff just for the fun of it."
He didn't.
Huh?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, it was in one of his rockets.
No, he didn't. He didn't. They've got footage of that, and in his own words, he says, "You know how you can tell it's real? Because it looks so fake." That was not. He didn't really shoot a car.
Okay, well, anyway,
up
more of the story, or the rest of the story.
Oh, but yeah. He rocket up in
so
space.
he asked him, "Hey, can you put this satellite in your rocket? Is there a way that you can have it, pretty much just dump it out in space?" And Elon was like, "Yeah, I can do that." And so he loaded his multi-million-dollar satellite into this rocket, and that rocket went into space and blew up. And they believe Elon did it on purpose.
Did it on purpose? Man, that sounds like something he would do. I don't trust him.
I love that man.
I don't trust him. I think he's evil, but there is a certain entertainment value to a lot of the things he does. And so I do get a laugh out of some of the things he does.
It's like he invented an actual flamethrower. And he mashed like a real flamethrower that a private citizen could own, with a big old backpack tank and the flamethrower, and he produced 10,000 of them. And Joe Rogan asked him, said, how long did it take to sell? He said 2 days. He said all 10,000 of them sold in 2 days.
Right.
Maybe less than that. But Joe Rogan started laughing. He said, "Dude," he said, "what were you thinking, creating a private owned flamethrower?" And Elon started laughing. He said, "Oh yeah, it was a horrible idea." He said, "I told people," he said, "when I put them out," he said, "I told people, don't buy this."
Well, I mean, during the short period I had TikTok, you could buy homemade flamethrowers.
Yeah.
I say homemade. They're professional and they're real, but they're smaller versions. You could buy your own flamethrowers on TikTok.
Leo had his own in once upon a time in Hollywood.
In Hollywood, hey, so did the dude who dealt, the ecstasy dealer from that movie. You remember that movie Project X? It was when Facebook and all them first became popular. The movie was centered around the power of social media. This kid,
it's called the network.
this random kid decided he was going to have a party, and he had a friend with a vision, and his friend was like, "We need to advertise it." So he put it on Facebook, and it turned out to be like 4,000 people at his party.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, they went to this guy's house to buy some pills, some ecstasy pills. And his friends, while he's buying the pills, his friends are goofing around, outside playing around and stuff. And one of them walks past this window and sees this goofy looks like a little piggy bank, like a little ceramic statue of a pig. He reaches in to grab it. And right as he reaches in to grab it, the dude looks back and sees it. And he's like, "Oh, crap." They take it anyways, and they take off running to the party. They don't know what's in it. It's full of ecstasy pills. So they're passing this statue of this pig all around the party, goofing around, having a good time. And somebody, I guess, decides it's time to step up their game. So they took a baseball bat and they said, "Bow," and hit this pig. Ecstasy flies all throughout the house. So now not only do you have a party with drunk people, now everybody's popping pills and stuff. Well, this dealer shows up with a homemade flamethrower, and he screams in the front yard. He's like, "You burn me, now I burn you." Next thing you know, he's setting entire trees on fire.
Okay,
you've got what looks like probably 50 cop cars on the bottom. At the house, kids running all over the place, a car in a swimming pool. You got a tree on fire. You got a helicopter, the news helicopter coming down on this stuff.
After you telling that whole story, was it a true story?
Project X, no.
Okay.
It was just a good movie. But though,
Let
you
me
know
tell
what
you a
though?
little secret though about you talking about ecstasy. I'm gonna tell you this is a true story. First time I ever did LSD, I was 18 years old. Every drug I've ever done in my life, I was 18 years old. Never did a drug before. I may have smoked weed a couple of times since I was 18, but I can count how many times probably on one hand. And I'm 51 years old. And but I was at this party, and I'm not gonna name no names or nothing, but it was a great party, one of the greatest parties I've ever been to in my life.
Let's not advertise for the drug.
No, I'm just saying no. There's a moral to it. Man, they had a keg in the bathtub, and we had been drinking. I mean, I bet I drank 2 gallons of beer, and I smoked a bunch of weed with these people. I was in this room.
Are we sure we're not advertising?
No, because what I'm telling you is why you should stay away from that stuff. But I was sitting in a room, and they were passing around bongs, and I was smoking. I was 18. I was stupid. But this guy was selling LSD, and he asked me, he said, "Buddy," he said, "do you want to hit an LSD?" And he was selling them $5 a piece. That was how far back this was. And I said, "No, man, I ain't got no money." He said, "Oh, buddy," he said, "I ain't gonna charge you for this." He said, "Here, I'll give you one." I said, "Okay." He said, "Here, man, I'm gonna give you 2." He said, "They're on me, dude. Don't worry about it." So I took them. Dude, I was so drunk and stoned. But at 5 minutes after I took that LSD, I was no longer drunk or stoned. It's like it overrides everything else in your body.
Yeah, dude, you're introducing a chemical into your brain.
But I did it probably half a dozen times when I was 18, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. I quit doing it because, this might be advertising it, I liked it so much it scared me, so I quit doing it.
Well, that stuff slowly burns.
I can see
your brain
myself, as
up.
much as I liked it, I could see myself being burned up.
Yeah.
I had a friend that took so much.
And all it takes is one bad hit, too.
I had a friend that took so much LSD that he said, like 5-10 years later, he said, "Man, did you know sometimes if something moves too fast in front of me," he said, "I still catch tracers off of it." He said, "And I ain't done LSD in 5 years."
Yeah, he's probably had a certain part of his brain
He ate a whole sheet one time,
slowly
dude.
ate away. Did this dude have a bus named the Silver Dragon?
Yeah,
he did. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Dang, it was a deadhead bus, wasn't it?
Yeah, they followed the Grateful Dead.
Okay, yeah.
They would go from town to town. Each one of them had a gallon gas can, and every time they'd stop in a town, there was like 3 or 4 of them on this bus. Every time they'd stop at a town, they'd split up with their gas cans and go panhandle enough to fill up their gas cans. And then they'd bring it back, put it in the bus, and head for the next town. That was back when gas was like $1 a gallon.
No, it was less than that, dude.
Yeah.
Because I remember 9/11. I remember
in the early 90s, whatever that was.
No, I was about to say I remember 9/11.
I can't remember prices in the early.
Okay. 9/11, September the 11th, 2001. Easy Mart. You remember Easy Mart?
Yeah.
Shortly after that, Easy Mart.
Maine and Mississippi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Easy Mart shut down a little bit, like shortly after that, but you still had Doc, Sinclair's, and all them open and stuff. Their gas prices continued to change. Easy Mart, for a good year before they sold it to somebody else, said 97 cents a gallon.
Well, I know it's weird because I can't remember the prices of nothing back then, hardly. But yet I can remember when I was a kid, Star Wars and G.I. Joe were $2 a piece. And He-Man were $5.
That's because as a kid, your mission in life was to figure out how to get $2 and $5 to get these toys. That's like me and baseball cards back when I was like 10 years old.
I remember Daddy would give us a $5 allowance, and I knew when I went to the store, I said, okay, I need to get 2 Star Wars, 2 G.I. Joe, 1 of each, or I can get 1 He-Man with my $5. Oh, it was the good old days. You know them Star Wars size figures, G.I. Joe size figures now, that's $15 at least now.
You think so?
A He-Man size figures are $20.
Really? They're that expensive?
Go to Walmart and look at them. They got
the only thing I ever...
Joe classifieds that are like the size of what a He-Man would have been. It was $20, $19.95 or something for the darn thing.
I was about to say, the only thing I look at anymore is Barbie dolls. That's because I'm the one who takes Aria shopping.
Because you collect them.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, do you remember the USS Flag from G.I. Joe?
No.
That was the aircraft carrier.
Buddy, I was 4.
Okay, well, the biggest playset in history that was ever made was made by G.I. Joe in the 80s. And it was a 7-foot long aircraft carrier that was about 2.5, 3 foot wide.
Golly.
And Mama always told me that I couldn't have it because it was either too expensive or it was too big and it would take up my whole room. Do you know what what the retail price of that was when it hit Targets and Kmart's and Walmart?
What?
$100 bill.
$100 then is probably like
about $800, $1,000 now. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. $100.
That's a lot of money. But at the time, I was 4. We were living in Cleveland. At the time, we could have afforded that, no problem. Now, it would have gotten sold for some substances later on.
Yeah, it would.
But, you know.
And you know how many times I've lost all my toys. It's like, you're going to sell everything in the house to get drugs, and you even loaded my toys up. They didn't want there ain't no drug dealer wanted my toys.
No, but you know how it is, though.
Yeah.
We live and learn. That's why we are the way they are. We are the people we are today.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Or better or worse.
I got another one for you.
Okay.
Apparently, China has had this thing where we've been. I'm not gonna say war. We'll call it economic war.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, the United States is one that created the opium wars in China.
Yeah.
We destroyed their society with opium. That's what they're doing to us right now with fentanyl. China, they say China.
I didn't think fentanyl came from China.
Yes,
I thought
it
it
does.
come from like more South America.
No. It's trafficked through South America up into the United States, but fentanyl is from China. They say
fentanyl is just chemical. It's like meth, isn't it? It's just chemical.
No. Fentanyl is almost like a super high potent bootleg painkiller of the fentanyl that we use in our hospital.
But it's not a plant or nothing. It's chemical.
No, it's 100% chemical.
Okay, well then it's like meth.
So fentanyl is the retaliation against the United States for the opium wars. But apparently they're getting us in another way too. They say Chinese billionaires have, for the past decade, been paying female surrogates here in America to have their babies. The baby is born here with U.S. citizenship. It is taken, because it's a surrogate, so it's not supposed to stay with her. It's taken back to China, raised as a member, a loyal member. No, this ain't a spy thing. This is outright out in the open. It is raised as a loyal member of the Chinese Communist Party there, and when they're 18, they're shipped back here. They say in the last 10 years, over 1 million babies have been born here, shipped back to China, and are going to be flooding over here in the near future, which is basically, and think about it, we are now passing laws that prohibit Chinese foreign companies and stuff from owning land.
Yeah,
and,
Arkansas done did it, and there's some other
right.
Yeah.
This is part
but
of
that's common sense.
Hold up, just a second. Okay. You throw me off my game, and I'm gonna completely crumble. That's part of their long game to take over the United States. Because if you can get enough people that are born here but have a Chinese loyalty, then you can change the entire system from within here. Ship them all back. They become U.S. voters, and then they're going to completely change our system to their system.
Yeah, but how many of them? But you also got to add a percentage.
Over 1 million
that.
so far.
Okay, but you got to add a percentage of them that's going to come over here, and they're going to have. They're going to have their whole perception change.
Right. But at the same time,
there's going to be a percentage.
but at the same time, you got to understand
wait
that.
a minute, these Americans ain't that bad.
Well, that continues to happen year after year after year. So the 1 million plus however many born, plus all the children born of the loyal ones, and all their on a long enough timeline. Unless we do something with that whole birthright citizenship crap, unless we do something about that, they will win that long game.
Well, as far as that, and I'm going to try to stay on topic here because I'm almost lost too. But as far as that whole owning land here, I am a strong, common sense based person that I believe if I can't own land in your country, you should not be able to own land in my country.
That's the way it is in every country.
Except us.
Mexico's the same way.
Yeah, you can't
China's
own land
the
in
same
Mexico.
way.
Japan, you can't even rent an apartment in Japan unless you have a Japanese respected citizen co-signing.
I know a dude who lives in Japan who said that on Facebook one time.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, you have to have a sponsor over there. Did you know Canada, you cannot, if you get a what are those, just like a visiting visa, you're not allowed to work in Canada. You are not allowed, you have to have a work visa to work in Canada. They have laws, super strict laws. These idiot liberals that are running from here to there seeking a better life are finding out they're finding out the hard way that
Rosie
Canada.
O'Donnell's fat rear's already back here from Ireland.
They're finding out that
they treated
Canada
her
is
so bad in Ireland that she done came back.
Do you blame them?
No, when you said Canada, the only thing I don't know why, the only thing popped in my head was South Park. Kill Canada.
Oh, no, it's like I said, yeah, you're right.
Kill Canada.
We have, and on top of that, they have, I've seen the laws on illegal immigration like throughout the world. Yeah. We're one of the only countries that don't penalize people for coming here illegally. Most countries, North Korea is one of them.
Did you know
most countries will put you in prison for it too?
Well, did you know Poland did a very strict no asylum seekers, no immigration. They actually have perimeters now around Poland where if
barbed wire
and
all them,
are trying to sneak it, they'll shoot them on sight, man, kill them.
Because they're not refugees. They're military-aged men.
Yeah,
it's part of the takeover thing. Yeah, I don't know.
You look at all these states now that are passing these no Syrian law deals because Muslims are trying to set up towns in certain states and that they want declared Syrian law. And a lot of these states are saying, no, Texas just did it. Texas just passed a big deal. No Syrian law.
You're talking about, Sharia law.
Sharia. Why did I say Syrian? Law. I don't know why I said that.
I mean, there are some Muslims from Syria, but,
But, what's weird, though, is
Sharia law.
You have, and I watch these kind of videos a lot. You have these, like, North Koreans that'll escape North Korea. And there's, like, two sisters right now that's got a whole channel on YouTube where they just came here they escaped to South Korea first. And now they're over here. And every video is just them pretty much saying we were lied to so bad around. American people are nothing that we're taught.
Well, it's part of propaganda.
They got a dictator that claims that he don't poop because he don't even have an anus because his body is so perfect that he produces no waste. That is a true story. Look it up.
Oh, I don't have to look it up.
He has no booty hole because he don't produce waste, so he doesn't have to have one. Some of the greatest videos you will ever watch, you've got to go down this rabbit hole, is look up these European videos.
If I go down too many rabbit holes, I'm gonna get lost one of these days. You're gonna have to come find me.
Yeah, I'm getting Elmer Fudd sometimes. But anyway, the biggest thing on YouTube right now, and I'm sorry, but a lot of left-leaning people are pissed off about it, is all these Europeans are coming over here for the World Cup. They're coming over from South Africa.
I keep hearing about the World Cup. About Japanese people cleaning up after themselves.
Yeah, it's here this year in America. Well, it's in It's in America. Some of them are being held. Some of the games are in Mexico, and I think there may be a couple of games up in Canada too. But it's mainly around Mexico.
Okay, so the Europeans are coming here and doing what?
There's hundreds of thousands of Europeans in America right now just for the World Cup, and there is hundreds of hours of videos on YouTube where they're walking around going, "This is the greatest country on earth. We have been lied to," because Europe and all them, they're falling apart, dude. With the whole, you got that guy that just got stabbed and killed, and the cops cuffed him.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, the dude killed him with a sword.
Yeah.
And the cops cuffed him, and he died in cuffs. And when the guy told him, said, "I've been stabbed," and that cop said, "No, you look all right to me," and he died in cuffs.
I'm going to say this loosely, and I'm not advertising anything. I'm not saying I want something to happen, but until they rise up and take out their government leaders and their police force and stuff like that, ain't nothing going to change.
That is. You think people holler it's bad in America? No. It is mental in Europe right now. And Ireland. Did you know that one?
Yep,
and right now there's a big thing where it said Irish people are being called, and this is a real deal, Irish people are being called racist by the liberals because they don't want to be beheaded under Sharia law in their own country. And that's racist for you to say that. To say that you don't want to be beheaded.
Well, I did see a video recently that says the European,
the
Australia,
EU, Ireland, Europe, them are the worst countries.
Well, I saw a video recently that said the EU Parliament, which EU is European Union, so I don't know if it's all of Europe or what, but they just voted so many hundreds against so many hundreds in favor of deporting all illegals.
Well,
now here's the problem:
is
a lot of those people who are causing the problems over there, they're not illegals. They were given citizenship, so you're only going to take care of a certain amount of the problem, getting rid of the illegals.
You lower the numbers.
You do lower the numbers.
The boldness goes down with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't do anything, people joke around about, Civil War in America. Oh, they ain't got nothing on what's going to happen in Europe.
They ain't got guns.
Well, but yeah, you know what's funny? You can't carry a gun, but under their laws in Europe, the Muslims can carry their ceremonial swords in public. Mm-hmm. That's what the dude killed the dude with, was a sword. I think it wasn't a knife, dude. This was a sword.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video. I haven't seen the video, but I read the article.
It's protected under their religious freedoms because that's a ceremonial religious sword.
Yeah, once enough government officials start getting taken out.
And the rape and stuff going on in them countries.
Yeah, once enough government officials start getting taken out, then they'll get scared enough there where they'll start changing the laws.
I mean, you can go in Europe right now. This is right there in London, in England. If you post certain things on Facebook, it's considered hate speech, and you go to prison. Mm-hmm. It's not a fine.
I forget which country
you can go to prison over it.
I forget which country it was. It's one of those European countries.
If you say, "I can't stand Muslims, I want them out of my country," that's hate speech, and you can go to prison for that. But no, what was I trying to say? Oh, them videos, all these Europeans over here, man, just ranting and raving about how great America was or is. They said, man, our media over there in Europe tells us that y'all are the worst country in the world, and we're like, our media over here tells everybody we're the worst country in the world. It ain't just y'all.
Yeah.
But they're like, we've been lied to. This is the great. You know what the number one tourist attractions among the Europeans in America are right now?
McDonald's?
It might be in the top 10, but no, Walmart.
Oh, because we have an abundance of stuff we can.
And they said every big city that all the Europeans are coming to, the Waffle Houses have lines that go around the building. It's waiting to get in and
Who
sit down and eat.
Who doesn't want a waffle? Who doesn't want a waffle?
Have you ever been to Waffle House?
Yeah.
Me and Johnny, when we do comic book shows.
Why would you ask me that? I've been to Waffle House. I've been to
Denny's. Me and Johnny eat at Waffle House regularly when we do comic book shows. If there's a Waffle House, that's where we're going in the morning.
Yeah.
Don't go there for dinner, man. Their dinner menu sucks. I mean, if you go there for dinner,
you go to Waffle House for pancakes and waffles.
Yeah, but they have a burger menu, but it sucks. You won't just go ahead and eat breakfast at nighttime if you go there for dinner.
I got one cool Bible story.
Okay.
It's a parallel. God loves his parallels. You know, things that happen, like this happens and this happens. You're like, the similarities between this and this are just amazing. It's the parallel between the Passover, which, you know, Moses, let my people go. God told Pharaoh, you know, all the plagues and stuff like that. It's a parallel between the Passover and the crucifixion of Jesus. When God said, okay, I'm going to kill the firstborn of all of the Egyptians, the Jews got real scared, because they were like, oh, well, what if our kids, you know, accidentally die in the crossfire? You know, we don't want our kids to die too. So God told Moses to tell his people, he said, tell them to take a blemish-free sacrificial lamb. 6 days before the Passover, I want you to anoint its feet. 2 days before the Passover, I want you to anoint its head. When Passover comes, the day before Passover, I want you to sacrifice the lamb and spread the blood of the lamb all around the door to protect the Jews, you know, from
firstborns. Yeah.
Well, all the Jews. He's taking the firstborn of the Egyptians.
Yeah.
Yeah. The final plague on Egypt was God killed all of their firstborn. Well, that's the process that the Jews had to go through in order to keep, you know, in order to mark their houses, you know, don't stop here.
But if they didn't mark their house, did they lose their firstborn?
It never said, so I'm assuming they all did. I'm going to assume they all did, because I don't think it ever said. Okay, well, when Jesus was here, Jesus became the sacrificial lamb. That's widely agreed upon. Jesus became the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Did you know 6 days before Passover, you know, before he was crucified, and this wasn't him saying, hey, come anoint my feet. It just so happens when he was in that house and that lady broke that jar of that anointing oil, she anointed his feet. She did that in secret. She bought that anointing oil, which was, that's a weed eater. She bought that anointing oil with all of her money and broke the jar and anointed Jesus' feet. He's the sacrificial lamb. His feet were anointed 6 days before Passover, just like the sheep. Did you know that 2 days before his crucifixion, that's when they anointed his head also, just like the sheep? He was the sacrificial lamb.
Was that the crown?
No. They actually anointed his head with oil. And then when he was crucified, just like the sacrificial lamb that protected his people back then, when he was crucified, his blood being the sacrificial lamb without blemish, his blood then covered us from our sins. His story perfectly parallels the story of Moses and the Passover.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool. I never knew that until about a week ago. This girl on Facebook told that story. I was like, it's perfect, because sacrificial lamb, anoint the feet, anoint the head, this day, sacrifice it, protects them. Sacrificial lamb, anoint the feet on this day, the head on this day. His blood covered all of us. The lamb covered the blood of the Jews. He was the lamb. His blood covered the blood of the rest of the world.
Well, that's weird that you tell that story, because I got one that kind of goes along with it. It'll be my Bible story. And I just learned this about a week ago. Pontius Pilate.
Okay.
Now, he was the leader. He was the ruler.
Right.
What was the city? Jerusalem? Was it Jerusalem?
Maybe. So I think it was Jerusalem. Yeah. All this took place
where he was crucified.
Or Jesus was crucified. Yes, in Jerusalem.
So Pontius Pilate was the ruler of that city at the time, and he was a brutal ruler. Had been ruler for years and years. He was nobody above him questioned anything he ever did. Nothing.
Right.
Well, did you know when the priests came to him and told him what they wanted to do to Jesus? Pontius Pilate told them straight out. He said, "Look," because Pontius Pilate understood the popularity of Jesus,
right,
and how many people in his city were going to Jesus' sermons. And he told the priests, he said, "Look," he said, "I don't think you should do this." He said, "But if you do go through with this and do it," because he, even as the ruler, he didn't want to go against the church.
Right.
And he told them, he said, "But if you go through with this and do it," he said, "this is on you." He said, "It's not on me." He said, I'm telling you right now, I don't think you should do it. He said, but if you do, he said, it's on you. He said, not me. Well, then they did that whole trial where they took the murderer and Jesus and put them up on the stage.
Yeah, you talk about Barabbas.
Yeah, and they said you get to vote on which one gets crucified,
right.
which one's set free. And everybody voted to set the murderer free.
Right.
But the reason was because they wouldn't let none of Jesus' people into the arena. They had it blocked up, and like Mary, his mother, all of them had to watch through the gate as everybody voted and stuff. And so none of his people even got to come in.
They only let people in that they knew would want to convict them. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So they blocked out all of Jesus' people. They weren't allowed in. But anyway, did you know that after that, a year or two later, Pontius Pilate, for some reason, there was a bunch of people doing a worship or something on the side of this mountain, and he had them all slaughtered. And so many people went to the ruler above him and complained that the ruler sent for him and said, hey, pretty much you need to come here. We need to talk about this. We'll straighten it out, But you need to, we've had so many people in an uproar over what you did that you need to come, see. You need to come see us, and we'll work it out, though. We'll smooth it over. But
right.
And so he said, okay. So he went. By the time he reached the city, that ruler had died, and his son, who was young, like 20s, and I want to say it was either Caligula or what was that other one? I used to have some coins from him that were like half eroded, but it was either Caligula or it was Constantine. It was one of them that was the new ruler. And when he showed up, that new young ruler didn't want to hear nothing. He exiled Pontius Pilate. He stripped him of all his power, his titles, everything, and exiled him. And they said, the Bible says that not long after that, within literally, I think a few months, he committed suicide. He couldn't handle not being somebody anymore. He couldn't handle losing his power. But I thought that was weird. But the Bible does say that he told the priest, I don't think y'all should do this stuff. But you're the church. You're going to do whatever you want.
You know what the Bible also says, though?
What?
That if you stand back and watch evil
then
be
you're
done,
just as guilty.
you're just as guilty. Okay, so
I don't think the sin level is the same.
No, there's sin. Oh, and I want to talk about that eventually. How all sin is not the same.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Well, the book of Enoch talks about different levels of hell depending on your sins.
Right.
Like not everybody goes to the same. According to the book of Enoch, not everybody goes to the same level.
I want to say it says that in the regular Bible.
Yeah.
It says something about extra lashings for Christians who committed certain sins.
Well,
basically, for example, let's say you and I are preachers or whatever, and we, doing some stuff we ain't supposed to be doing. Yeah. We end up making the church look really bad, and end up, a lot of people seeing what we're doing. They're like, that's not what I signed up for, and turn away from God because of it. Like if our actions end up making people turn away from God, then we've got extra punishment coming for us.
See, I don't think you have to go to church to be a Christian.
I don't think
you have to.
I remember a preacher told me that. He said church is good. He said because fellowship is good.
Yeah.
Right.
It's it's kind of like having a weightlifting partner.
Right. It's reminding each other every day or every other day, however often you go to church. Yeah. Reminding each other of
a gym buddy,
stay on track. You can do this. Let's get to heaven together. So but no.
There's all these videos popping up on YouTube now that are kind of ticking me off. Because I actually seen one that said, none of God's chosen go to church. And I'm like,
no.
Why are y'all putting crap like that out there?
No. Those and any distorted preachings will be handled and punished accordingly too. That's why I'm trying to be careful what I say, just because I don't want to claim I represent God in any way. Do something stupid and then
Well, because you better, if you're going to preach it, you better know what you're talking about.
Live the life. I know what you're talking about.
No, I'm not even talking about live the life as much.
Well, you need to live the life.
Don't false preach.
Right.
It's like the Bible says. The Bible says, I don't know where it's at exactly, but it says, do not add, take away, or change.
That's referring to the book of Revelations. It says, if any man adds to this prophecy, he will have all the plagues of man added to him, and any man who takes away from this prophecy will have all of his basically his rights to heaven taken away from him. But you're talking about Revelations.
Yeah, but you're talking about the different levels of hell. Man, it's a lot of people can't make it through it because it's kind of tedious. But it's an awesome book. I have it at the house.
Book of Enoch?
No, it's Dante's Inferno. Dante's Inferno lists the different levels of hell.
Okay, but that's not accurate though.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
They said that dude was part of a church in whatever country he lived in. They exiled him for whatever reason, and he wrote that book almost as I'm not going to say revenge.
Some of it does go along with the Book of Enoch when it explains.
Well, they say he wrote that book in defiance of the church that kicked him out. That book is fictional. I'm not saying I'm not saying there's no accuracy in the book, but it's a fictional book.
But what I'm saying though is how do you write a book about different levels of hell in defiance? That don't make no sense. Because
it went against all the teachings of the church that exiled him.
You say that that's fictional, but they also said what was it called? What is that book? They made a movie about it with Angelina Jolie. It was almost like a fantasy movie. Hold on.
Angelina Jolie, you're not talking about that Maleficent, are you?
No, that's a Disney movie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a book it's considered. Somebody maybe can tell me in the comments if we even have anybody watching this video. But no, it's considered.
We'll have a few people watching the shorts.
It's considered the first fictional writing in history.
Beowulf. Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, they say Beowulf was the first fictional writing in history.
I don't think that's fiction.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It had monsters and demons, dragons, all that, sorcery, all that. Yeah. But they claim it was the first fictional writing ever written. But yet the second fictional writing ever written was like 1,000 years later.
Yeah. Yeah,
so how can you say that this was the first fictional, but it was 1,000 years before the second?
I don't think Beowulf was fictional. Dude.
I don't think it was.
I think it was all 100% factual.
Well,
just like the Greek gods and all them.
It was historical.
Right. Just like all your Greek gods, your Norse gods, and all them. Obviously, they weren't gods, but I just believe they were fallen angels that tricked man into thinking they were gods. And along the way, there was a whole lot of crossbreeding and genetic tampering and stuff, and we got a whole lot of monsters.
The Watchers were angels, and they bred with human women and made the Nephilim, which were the giants.
Right.
And they genetically experimented with animals and humans and made monsters. And that's the reason God flooded the earth, was to kill all of the Watchers' creations. And then supposedly the Watchers are chained up in the bottom of a river. And that if that river
four angels are chained up at the bottom of the river.
But they say that river is dropping so many feet. And they say that already it has dropped enough that they're starting to see the tops of caves.
Caverns and stuff? Yeah, I've seen that.
That's creepy when you think about stuff like that.
All right, we're rocking 1 hour and 12 minutes.
We need to go ahead. We'll
do your story.
Yeah, we'll do.
It's somehow managed to just
episode 10 will be a new ghost story.
Yeah.
And it'll be a good,
detailed, creepy, crazy ghost story, and I'll give
a woman named Rachel.
Yeah, a succubus named Rachel.
She wasn't
Boy, everything you told me says succubus all the way across.
She wasn't good.
But okay, so I guess that's it for this episode.
Yeah. Everybody, thank you for watching. Subscribe, follow.
Yeah, all
share,
27 comment. Subscribers, you guys.
Yeah, we love all the real stars. Of y'all. And I know part of you.
Yeah, I know a few of them too. We
got an aunt there. We got some friends. We got.
Oh yeah, mainly friends and family.
Yeah, the ones who truly love us.
All right, enjoy.